Ah, there you are, my friend. My name is Claire Spock. I understand you're studying the history of Vulcans. Today, I will therefore share with you some major events in our history, beginning with food. And here we have a working vintage AI in a compact design from ancient Vulcan. It has evolved quite a bit in the past eons, since our days of crime and sin. So let me program Mr. Robot to tell us some facts about ancient Vulcan history related to the food industry, planet Vulcan with reference to Romulan, please tell us the history of food and the food industries of Vulcans. Let me just program this. Perfect. Are you ready? Okay. I'll set you here and proceed. First of all, you can list the topics and I'll write them down for our visitor. Go ahead. So you really are a vintage machine. I understand. It may be the electromagnetic fields interfering from the Romulan ships nearby. Have you ever been to Romulan, Mr. Robot? I see. Speaking of food, would you please share with us your understanding of how the food industry used to work on Vulcan before we became, shall I say, enlightened? Let's change that to more intelligent. All right, I'm ready. Maximize M, D, P, and M is mass, D is disease, P is profit, and I think we need to clarify that we're maximizing the mass of the Vulcans, the Vulcan buyers of food. So we want to maximize disease according to the ancient Vulcan formula. There were a maximum amount of people in hospitals and the maximum amount of people on Franken chemical medications. And P for profit would be the profit from the sale of not only foods, but okay, so profit of the food companies. Is there more? I thought there was more, yes. Add to that, maximizing C, which is cash flow. I see, yes, cash flow. Specifically, what kind of cash flow? We're maximizing spending, excuse me, but I can see your twinkling eyes are telling me that we're maximizing specifically the spending of money on nothing. So let me clarify for our viewer what S is. S equals spending on nothing. So in summary then, this represents the formula of ancient Vulcans food companies. Their working formula was their modus operandi to maximize. Okay, maximize would mean that the derivative of all of these values is not only 0, but it is at a maximum number. So that if the value changes like this, then the maximum would be at the top of the curve. So the derivative of y with respect to time is 0 here. So we're maximizing its height. So we're maximizing the value of the y-axis, the mass of the buyers, the disease of the buyers, the profit of the food companies, the cash flow of the planet, and the money spent on nothing. That is, they have no inherent value. They do not increase wealth, health, happiness, efficiency, or pleasure. They don't maximize any of those. They only maximize the spending. So, for example, if you buy on Earth, for example, a designer purse with no added value other than the name, that would be spending money on nothing, because there's no inherent value in the designer's name, only in the quality of the purse. So that would be spending on nothing, since there's no value. Some people might say the value is the prestige. I understand. However, to a Vulcan, there would be no value in that. We don't understand the word prestige. It's a meaningless value to a Vulcan. Because that, even Romulans don't care about prestige. It's a sort of an ego, a human ego term, you see. So, Mr. Robot, would you affirm what I've said? Oh, maximize the mass of the person, the disease of the person. Those are both the persons that buy the food. Maximize the profit of the sellers. Now, why would we want to do that? These sellers want profit so they can what? I'm asking you, Mr. Robot. Do things that I understand. Now we will talk about maximizing spending on nothing, because that is the ultimate goal of the food industry, to maximize spending. They want to maximize the flow of cash in the air. Oh, excuse me. It's almost like generating the flow of cash is some sort of energy transfer. Maximize or spending on nothing. Spending activity. So they spend money. Maximize, spend money on nada. That means nothing in Spanish. So what is this? Well, what are those nothings? Excuse me, Mr. Robot. So, expensive tunics. Diabetes doctors. So you would pay the diabetes doctor, and the diabetes doctor would give you frankenchemicals to cure your disease. And that would give money flow. What else would we spend our money on? Okay, so the next one would be a GI doctor. So there would be cash flow to see all these doctors that would treat the diseases caused by the food. And the Vulcans would also be spending money on fat-free snacks due to false advertising about how fat is bad when we know fat is fundamentally good. So low fat made the problem worse. And the low fat would generate more money at the doctor's office. The model itself dictates that, not any one individual Vulcan. It was the model that was followed. So what would be the best interests of the Vulcans themselves? That is a very good question. So what is a better equation, Mr. Robot, that the current Vulcans use? What is the current modus operandi of Vulcans in the enlightened view? Minimize FA, all right? Which is food adulteration. Adulteration. Minimize food adulteration. Maximize H, J, and G. So grace, joy, health. So me being an individual Vulcan, I want to minimize food adulteration. So that means I would want to grow everything natural and eat it as close to the most natural state as possible, unless I want to remove toxins or anti-nutrients, and that's fine, and then I would eat it in the most pure form. We may cook it out, but not too much. We may soak out the toxins, that sort of thing, using pure water. Minimal cooking only to increase the nutritional value and minimize life loss. We would take every step to give gratitude to the food, as we will draw the prayer hands. Gratitude for the food. Enjoyment of the food. So that you've really maximized the nutritional value and the life force. Maximizing. Wouldn't we have a more technical term for H, J, and G? Because my father Spock may object to these human terms. Okay, power. When you have health, you have power. When you're joyous, you're useful. So usefulness for joy. And efficiency or efficacy. Okay, efficacy for grace. Health, joy, and grace to humans that we want to maximize, and power, usefulness, and efficacy for the Vulcan terms, for these same variables that we want to maximize. Humans, Vulcans. Humans, Vulcans. Humans, Vulcans. Humans, Vulcans. Future, future. Now, now. And there is one important point that we will end with. I didn't see your flashing as readily as I might have. I'm going. Maximizing RP. RP. What does that stand for, Mr. Robot? Raw and pure. Isn't that the same? Oh, I see. These are words for Aspies. Isn't that Asperger's? Yes, I thought so. Another human term. Natural earth and water surroundings. Natural earth and water surroundings. Maximizing. That would be the pure part. Maximizing natural earth and water surrounding the food. Maximize fresh air. Maximize sun and natural earth and water. Natural soil and water, natural earth and water. Let's just say NEW. Minimize artificial environments, AE. Such as LEDs and fluorescent lighting. I understand humans still use these, sadly. But this isn't about humans. This is about Vulcan history. I should start over. I agree. Would this be acceptable to you, Mr. Robot? Wonderful. What is the goal in life for Romulans? What is the goal in life for Vulcans. To maximize joy and minimize suffering. Thank you very much, Mr. Robot. I understand. Or if you're anyone for that matter. I like the way you pointed out the equations. That was nice, a nice way to summarize it. If you could say one thing, Mr. Robot, what would it be to maximize for Vulcans of the current day? Truth. And anything to minimize? Food from machines. Got it. Machines. What kind of machines? Dead machines. I understand. That would be metal machines, for example. Okay. That's the moral of our story, and this is section 1 of Vulcan History. I hope this has helped you in your research. Thank you, Mr. Robot, for helping us. Next one could possibly be a history of AI on Vulcans. That's what we'll do next. Live long and prosper. Live long and prosper, my friend. Live long and prosper. We bid you goodbye. One example of pure, unadulterated food is mint leaf, straight from the garden, rosemary, straight from the garden, mint and rosemary, and one leaf of basil, straight from the garden. And a vessel of very hot water. It helps to make a vortex in the water in order to energize the water and give it a life force. You may do this by holding the source of the water to maximum height above the water, maximum practical height. And our beautiful herbs will be placed inside the hot water. Rosemary and the basil into the water so that the living extracts may be taken into the water. The live essence is fused into the water's memory bonds. The memory of the plants will be retained in the water's chemical and physical structures. You may drink the water at any time. We can drink it in stages. It's continuing to download information. However, much good information has already been transmitted to the water. So this is where you may have your first hint of the information contained herein. One can distinctly taste the mint first. The rosemary is quite strong at this stage as well. The basil is flavoring the mint with subtleness. It's living. Some people cool their tea by pouring it into the plate or saucer and then pouring it back into the cup with grace and ease. We want to wait 1 full minute for the second pouring. Continuing to download into the available storage space. The consciousness is the memory. Conscious waters.